Hi everyone, this is Engineering with Brian. I'm Brian, and today I'll be talking to you about how I would make a Pokeball. Now this video is going to be a little on the longer side because there are many steps and I want my Pokeball to really be able to open. And here I go. So I'm going to click Sketch, click on the front plane, and I'm going to make a circle. And I'm going to dimension this circle 100 millimeters. So then I'm going to draw some lines. I'm going to make that section of the circle that is black. And I'm going to mirror it across the middle of the circle. So I'm going to make it 3 millimeters away from the circle, and I'm going to mirror it across the circle. And then I'm going to draw a line, a vertical line, to make sure that I'm able to revolve the top and the bottom, which I'm going to do right now. Alright, it's looking good. So now I'm going to try and take away the middle sections to make sure that this Pokeball can actually hold something. So I'm going to make sure that I have this 100 millimeter dimension. And then I'm going to make the inside of the Pokeball. And I'm going to eventually do a remove revolve command to make sure that the inside has this open space. And I'm going to make the inside circle 92 millimeters in diameter because I think Pokeballs are a little on the thicker side. And now I'm going to be drawing the lines to make sure that I am able to revolve the specific sections I want to. And now I'm going to mirror it so that the other side of the circle also has these two lines. And I'm going to hide the parts so that I am more easily able to successfully revolve these two shapes and have these two circles that have this kind of hollow interior. So now I'm going to go ahead and change the colors of these two circles, making them more accurate to what a real Pokeball looks like. So like so. And now I'm going to be making that inside section of the Pokeball. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that there is this section cut out from these two halves of the Pokeball. So I'm going to make a circle that is 30 millimeters and extrude it, merging with all, so that there is this Pokeball look to it. So next, I am going to be making that black part of the Pokeball. I'm going to make sure that I have this circle, just for reference, that is 100 millimeters matching the outside of the circle. But then I'm going to draw a couple more circles because the black part doesn't necessarily extend to the very outside of the Pokeball. It actually is a little on the inside. So I think I'm going to draw a circle right here and make it 2 millimeters away from the outermost circle. Maybe that's a little much. I'm going to make it 1 millimeter instead. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw another circle, like so, dimensioning it to be, let's say, 3 millimeters away from the second circle. And then I am going to go ahead and draw some lines to make sure that I am able to revolve this small section of my design. And then I'm going to go ahead and make some lines, making sure that this is in fact 3 millimeters away from the middle. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw another line in between. And I'm going to mirror it across this line. Wait. Oops. I'm going to go ahead and mirror it across this line. Like so. Whoops. Wrong line. I'm going to mirror it across the center line. And then I'm going to go ahead and revolve these two parts. Of course, you don't really need to draw that line in the center, but I mean, if you want, you can. And as you can see, I have this revolved shape in the center, making it look a little more like a Pokeball. So I'm going to go ahead and look at these dimensions once more. Add a line right there, and then I'm going to create a plane to see how to put that black circle on this kind of ring inside the circle. So I'm going to make sure that this plane is offset from the front plane by 47.5 millimeters. Confirm the plane, and then I'm going to be drawing that kind of rounded circle on this middle ring. So I'm going to click on the plane, draw this circle, and I'm going to dimension it 30 millimeters. Alright, and then I will be extruding this circle. So I want to make sure that this circle doesn't go too far, but then it doesn't expose any of this original ring we created. So I think I'm going to dimension it 1.5 millimeters. And that looks like it's popping out maybe a little too much. So I'm going to go ahead and try some distances a little less than that. Maybe 1.25, no. 1.3, no. 1.4, no. Alright. So I think we have to stick with 1.5, which looks fine. And I'm going to make sure that this extrusion is actually adding to this center ring. There we go. And I'm going to change the color of the central ring to be black. Like so. Alright. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw these white circles extruded from this kind of ring in the center. So I'm gonna draw a circle and dimension it to be 26 millimeters in diameter. And then I'm going to extrude this. Let's make it a 1 millimeter extrusion. Whoops. Got to make sure that it is 1. There we go. And then I'm going to be drawing another circle right on top of this circle right here, and dimensioning it to be a little smaller than the existing outer white circle. Let's make it 20 millimeters in diameter. And then I'm going to go ahead and extrude this. Let's also make it 1 millimeter. Like so. And there you go. So this would be kind of what a Pokeball would look like. I think I would have to fix this part in the back, maybe. I think I'm going to go ahead and extrude the back part a little further back, but not too much. It's not a big change, it's just a little easier to make sure that this part looks a bit better, and so that you can maybe glue it a little bit better if you are to 3D print this. So there you go. That is the black ring, and here we are. This is a Pokeball. Now this would be a pretty decent Pokeball if you just wanted a model of a Pokeball. I'm going to go ahead and make the hinge so that this Pokeball is actually able to open. So right now I'm going to be drawing like this, these shapes, trying to make this hinge. I think I might actually have to start out with the circle part instead of having the rectangle part first. So I'm going to draw this circle right here, and I'm going to dimension it. Let's do 10 millimeters, and that's a little bit far away. So I'm going to drag it a little closer. And then I'm going to draw some lines, making sure that this area kind of touches each side of the Pokeball. So I'm going to first be drawing it to the red side of the Pokeball. Like so. And I'm going to make sure that the dimensions are all accurate. Let's make this dimension 56 millimeters. Alright, so let's confirm that, and I'm going to go ahead and extrude it. Don't worry about the part that might be sticking in to the Pokeball. I'll be doing a removal revolve command to make sure that it all looks good in the end. So I'm going to make sure that this is adding to the top part, like so. And now I will be making the other part of the hinge. I'm going to be doing 2 white hinges on the sides, making sure that this Pokeball is nice and stable. So I'm going to be drawing a circle, making sure that this circle is 10 millimeters in diameter. And then I'm going to be drawing some lines connecting it to the bottom part, like so. And then what I'm going to end up doing is mirroring this hinge to the other side, so I don't have to draw it again. I'm going to make sure that these dimensions are all accurate. Like so. And I think I'm going to extrude it 5 millimeters and confirm. Alright. Whoop. I forgot to do a symmetric extrusion for the second part. So I'm going to make sure that this part is connected to the bottom half of the Pokeball, and then I'm going to make sure that this extrusion is a symmetric extrusion instead of a extrusion in one direction. And then I'm going to use the mirror command, switch it to a feature mirror, and I'm going to mirror the extrusion across the right plane, like so. So this would be a relatively well-designed hinge, and as you can see, if I put a section view on, there is these parts that are sticking into the Pokeball. I'm going to be drawing a circle and dimension it to 92 millimeters in diameter, and I'll be drawing a line, doing a removal extrusion that only is merged with the top and the bottom, and removing these parts that are extruded into the Pokeball. Whoops. Like so. And merging with the top sphere and the bottom. And confirming it. So now, as you can see, those parts aren't sticking into the Pokeball anymore. I'm going to turn off section view, and now I'm going to be finishing up the hinge. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch on the hinge, and I'm going to be drawing a hole that goes through the hinge, and then I'll be able to put like a sort of bolt into it so that the two parts are connected by a hinge. Now right now, when I sketch these hinges, I'm not going to be focusing too much on tolerance. Depending on your 3D printer, I would if you're going to 3D print this, I would make sure to adjust the tolerances to suit it. Usually, if I'm going to 3D print something, I make sure that there is at least a 0.2 millimeter gap between anything I want to put into or slide. So I'm going to make sure that this extrusion is merging with the top and the bottom. So now I have this hinge, and then I'm going to make the bolt. I'm going to draw a circle, dimension it to be the diameter of the hinge, and I'm going to dimension it to make sure that it is, in fact, 10 millimeters. And then I'm going to go ahead and extrude this. I'm going to end up doing a draft extrusion so that this bolt has a little shape to it. So I'm going to try 10 degrees. I think I can do a little more. I think 20 degrees. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and make the shaft for this bolt. It's going to be a little difficult to make sure that I am clicking on the right thing. Whoop. Alright, I gotta make sure that the extrusion that I did before is a new extrusion rather than adding to the second hinge. And then now I can sketch on this and make sure that this bolt is able to go through both hinges. Here we go, and I'm going to dimension it to be 5 millimeters. Again, if your 3D printer is not exact, I would make sure that this bolt is a little smaller than the actual hinge. And I'm going to make the shaft a little bit longer than the hinge itself, just so that the shaft does not fall out. Like so. And you could even add a little extra piece to the end of the shaft, just so that it doesn't fall out. So now I'm going to hide all the parts and kind of touch up on this using a couple of fillets. So this will give the Pokeball a bit of a smoother look, and it'll be a bit easier to put together the pieces after you have printed them, if you are in fact 3D printing. And I'm going to make sure that this hinge is filleted so that it's able to move a little bit easier and it's easier to stick in the shaft. I think I'm going to make this a 0.7 millimeter fillet and do it on the other side as well. Whoop. Sometimes Onshape glitches like this. I'm just going to go ahead and reload it. Alright. So now I'm going to move on to the second part of the Pokeball. And just as before, I'm going to just go through and fill every part that is necessary. I accidentally canceled the fillet. I'm just gonna redo it. There we go. And that would be the second part of my Pokeball after just filleting these bottom two parts of the hinges. Next, I'm going to be moving to the black part of the Pokeball. I'm not going to have to fillet it all the way around. This part, I think I'm going to end up being gluing to the red part of the Pokeball so that it moves along with the top of the Pokeball as you unhinge it. So I'm going to try and fillet as many parts of this Pokeball as I can. I'm going to try the back. It doesn't work. I'm going to take that off and confirm it. So this would be the third piece of my Pokeball, nice and filleted. Now I'm going to do this kind of white part on top of the third part. I'm going to do a 0.25 millimeter fillet since it's a bit smaller. Doesn't look bad. I'm going to hit confirm, and then I'm going to do the last piece. This is just a bolt. I think I'm going to do some pretty significant fillets right here. Maybe trying 2 millimeters, and then doing the same for the bottom and that part. There we go. That doesn't look bad. And here I have my completed Pokeball. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helped. If you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.